What's going on, everyone? Today is September 20th of 2023, and welcome back to this, the 60th edition of the Superstream. In today's episode, we will be talking about the ongoing saga of Hunter Biden, who found himself in more hot water last week after being indicted on federal gun charges. This actually fits rather nicely for today's episode number because both Hunter Biden and indictment sum to 60 in Gematria, the number of the episode. Biden even has double Gematria of 60, and in this video, we'll focus on his connection to the Las Vegas Raiders, who had moved there from Oakland. This indictment was filed on Thursday, September 14th. In my last video on this channel, which discussed the Aaron Rodgers injury on 9/11, I made it clear that I thought we'd get some pretty big news on September 14th that would be connected to the U.S. presidency and this overarching skull and bones code that has been operating throughout the year of 2023. In fact, here's a look at some blog posts I had on this as well. Well, lo and behold, the top news story in mainstream headlines for most of that day, September 14th, was the indictment of Hunter Biden by a special counsel, the first time ever that the son of a sitting U.S. president has been embroiled in such a case. And in this video, I'll explain how this story was the huge skull and bones riddle that I was expecting. Now, if you're new to this channel, you may be wondering, why does this schlep think he can predict the news? And the answer to that is quite simple. The fascinating world of numerology, and here I focus on the language of Gematria, a practice that observes the numbers of our English alphabet. This entire year, pretty much, the main topic of my work has been the 322nd anniversary of Yale University, which is home to the Skull and Bones Secret Society, also known as Order 322. Skull and Crossbones has an ordinal Gematria value of 223, and this special alignment occurs here in the year 2023. Now, Yale's October 9th anniversary is also synced up with the two great American eclipses over the United States, which are separated by 82 lunar phases. Exactly. Now, October 9th, Yale's special date, falls 82 sidereal months, or lunar orbits, after that first American eclipse. These eclipses are often referred to as the twin eclipses. And think about how the Twin Towers in New York City were destroyed on September 11th, 2001. And that just so happened to be 82 days after a solar eclipse that fell on the summer solstice, which is a very rare, about 1 in 500 year event. So let's get into this and explain why this all went down on September 14th of 2023 and why this is a huge skull and bones date. In the alphabetic order, skull and bones sums to 149, whereas skull and crossbones equals 223. And again, this was the date 14/9 in 2023. These numbers are connected for another reason. 1409 is also the 223rd prime number, so we knew something was going to happen on this date. And sure enough, Hunter Biden gets indicted a span of 223 days after his February 4th birthday. The man who indicted him was David C. Weiss, a special counsel for the U.S. Department of Justice. He's also the U.S. Attorney for the District of Delaware. And notice how his first day as a permanent member of that role was on February 23rd, or 2/23, as he was acting up until the day before. This also ties into the date that he was appointed special counsel, because August 11th was the 223rd day of the year 2023. The 11th of August can be written as 11/8 on the calendar. And in the alphabetic order, David C. Weiss sums to 118. So on the same day that Hunter Biden was indicted, there was an NFL game that was played in the city of Philadelphia, and using the reverse alphabetic order, where Z is 1, Y is 2, all the way through A as 26, just the alphabetic order reversed, the city of Philadelphia has Gematria of 223, where this game was played. That game was played 2,063 days after the Eagles defeated the Vikings in the 2017 NFC Championship game. In the reverse order, Skull and Crossbones equals 263. Now, with their win in that title game, the Eagles prevented Minnesota from becoming the first home team to ever play in the Super Bowl at their home stadium. That distinction was reserved for Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, who would win Super Bowl 55 3 years later. And consider how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are one of the two skull and crossbones teams of the NFL. The city of Philadelphia has more intriguing gematria: 65 using the reduction method, or 205 in the Latin or Agrippa's key cipher of gematria, which I consider to be the most significant of this practice. Notice how this lines up with standard gematria, a cipher which most closely mirrors ancient Hebrew and Greek isopsephy. In reverse gematria, Yale equals 65, while in ordinal, Yale University equals 205. The Eagles dominated this game on the ground, gaining 259 yards against the Vikings' porous defense. In Latin gematria, Yale University equals 2,059. Now, what's so striking about this game is that out of only 3 active NFL players with the name Hunter, again, this game on the same day that Hunter Biden was indicted, one of these players happens to be on the Vikings, defensive lineman Danielle Hunter. And how about this? On the same day as the indictment, Danielle Hunter was one of the best players in the game, having 3 sacks, one of the best games of his entire career. We'll talk more about him in a little bit. But I want to touch again on this skull and bones riddle with the NFL. When Tampa Bay became the first home team to win the Super Bowl in their home stadium, this capped off the 2020 NFL season. The initials TB for Tampa Bay summed to 22 and 202 in standard. Remember, this was the same year that Tom Brady, who also has those TB initials, was playing for the team. This is a very significant skull and bones number. Think about how there's 22 players on the field for every NFL game. National Football League equals 220. So does the Brotherhood of Death, which is one of the other names for the Skull and Bones Society. In fact, the invention of American football goes back to a man named Walter Camp, who was a graduate of Yale Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones also equals 202 in reverse. This was the first Buccaneers Super Bowl championship since they defeated the other Skull and Crossbones NFL team, the Oakland Raiders, to end the 2002 NFL season, a year with the same digits. Notice how Oakland equals 22 in reduction. This is a master number which sums to 22. In fact, it's called the master builder number, which sums to 220 in ordinal. Earlier we saw that Skull and Bones equals 149, like this 14th of September date. Well, this game was Super Bowl 37, which also equals 149, and it was known as the Pirate Bowl thanks to these two teams' logos, which sums to 149. It was also called the Gruden Bowl 149, as head coach John Gruden squared off against his old team. The MVP of this game was even Dexter Jackson, whose name sums to 149 and 202. So there's 2 other players named Hunter in the NFL, and one of them is named Hunter Renfrow. who happens to play for the Las Vegas Raiders, the other skull and crossbones logo. Now, I talked about Hunter Renfrow back in November of 2021 when I made this video about the Las Vegas car crash caused by Raiders receiver Henry Ruggs, who was let go from the team, making way for Hunter Renfrow to become the team's #1 wide receiver. And just think about this name, Henry Ruggs. The only other Hunter active in the NFL is named Hunter Henry. So I found that to be quite noteworthy. But what made this video so interesting is that earlier that year, in July of 2021, I made this video talking about how the Raiders' move to Las Vegas was a scripted riddle connected to Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson. Thompson is connected to football because his suicide note was called "Football Season is Over," detailing his depression following the end of the NFL season. So there's this strong Hunter riddle going on, and what I failed to point out in 2021 was the overarching skull and bones riddle that brings this all together. When you measure from the birthday of Hunter Biden to this Las Vegas receiver, Hunter Renfrow, you find that Renfrow was born just one day after Biden turned 1,350 weeks old. In the standard alphabetic order, Fear and Loathing sums to 135. Back in 1998, a movie called Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas was released starring Johnny Depp. This was based on the 1972 book written by Hunter S. Thompson of the same name. That movie came out exactly 1,350 weeks after the book was published. In Sumerian Gematria, which is the alphabetic order times 6, 6 a powerful number of time and the first perfect number, the name Hunter S. Thompson equals 1350. And what you're looking at here is no mistake. This is how Hollywood scripts out the release of their film and television series. Now, in that car crash where Henry Ruggs killed a woman in Las Vegas, it also happens to be that he also killed her dog. And the reason this stood out is because Hunter S. Thompson wrote an article for Rolling Stone once called "A Dog Took My Place." And the first line of that article reads, "There is a lot of wreckage in the fast lane these days." Well, Henry Ruggs was driving over 150 miles per hour when he got in his crash. This article was about Herbert Pulitzer Jr., who has matching 1934 extended gematria with Hunter Stockton Thompson, his full name. Another noteworthy thing about this article is that Pulitzer was in a custody battle with his wife, Roxanne. And at the time this article was released, the song Roxanne by the Police was just a few years old. And that song is about falling in love with a prostitute. Well, prostitution is 3.5 times worse in the state of Nevada than any other state in the Union. Of course, Nevada, where Las Vegas is located. Now, this article about Herbert Pulitzer had some more noteworthy items. I often talk about the American Stonehenge in connection to Skull and Bones, as Stonehenge has gematria of 223 with capital letters. And the American Stonehenge, which contained plans pertinent to a new world order, was first opened to the public on March 22nd, or 322. 322, March 22nd, was the birthday of Herbert Peter Pulitzer. And if you measure from the death of Herbert Pulitzer to the car crash of Henry Ruggs in 2021, you find they were separated by 3 years, 202 days. Ruggs's car crash was just 2 days before Brown lunation number 1223. And in ancient Hebrew gematria, Las Vegas, Nevada sums to 223. By the way, in this same method, the moon sums to 223 in Hebrew. And again, lunation number 1223 just after that crash. So think about this. Here we have a movie about guys driving to Las Vegas with a trunk full of drugs. Meanwhile, you have Hunter Biden driving around his car, smoking crack, doing drugs. I hope you see the synchronicity in this. In standard Gematria, Hunter Biden has matching 723 values with drugs and Nevada using square numbers. On the date Hunter was indicted, Johnny Depp had just turned 723 months old. Of course, Depp plays Hunter Thompson in that film. The book this film was based on was 204 pages in length. Hunter Biden was born on February 4th, the date written 204 on the calendar, and in the alphabetic order, skull and crossbones with the ampersand equals 204. The name Robert Hunter Biden also has matching gematria with the United States of America. And this seems relevant because Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is called A Savage Journey to the Heart of the American Dream. The American dream, money, drugs, and sex. Well, measuring from the independence of the United States of America to the birth of Hunter Biden is 193 years and 7 months exactly. Hunter S. Thompson was born in the year 1937. Furthermore, the name Robert Hunter Biden matches Hunter S. Thompson. His name also has matching 810 values with Fear and Loathing and Skull and Bones. Now, this 81 stands out because the 81st day of the year is March 22nd, or 322, bringing us back to the Skull and Bones number. Using capital letters with the reversed alphabetic order. Again, all of these ciphers based in ordinal. These mix capital letters in with the small letters. Notice how Fear and Loathing sums to 322. In square numbers, the name Biden equals 322. The actor who plays Hunter S. Thompson, John Christopher Depp II, his name sums to 322 in the reverse alphabetic order. Depp was born in Owensboro, Kentucky, the same state as Hunter S. Thompson, and in the same reverse method, Owensboro, Kentucky equals 223. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas hit the movie theaters on the date that leaves 223 days in the year, May 22nd. And on that date, Hunter S. Thompson was 22,223 days old. Remember, we call the American flag the Star-Spangled Banner, which equals 223. This movie came out 322 days after Independence Day. Hunter Biden was born 32 years, 202 days after Hunter S. Thompson. Biden was then indicted 223 days after his birthday. And a week after his indictment, actually today, September 20th, is exactly 223 months after the death of Hunter S. Thompson. Furthermore, Biden was indicted 22 years and 3 days after 9/11. And just as we did in the last video, we'll explain how this event is heavily connected to the 9/11 attacks. But first, I want to point out the rule of Colel, which I ignore as much as possible. This rule states that the number 1 can be added or subtracted from any gematria value, which makes it very easy to play with numbers. However, who can ignore the fact that Hunter S. Thompson's full name sums to 323 in the alphabetic order? This is the same value shared by both Las Vegas Raiders and Las Vegas, Nevada. This 323 popped up in the Thursday night football game that took place the same day as Biden's indictment. 2 of Danielle Hunter's 3 sacks came on consecutive plays in the fourth quarter. The first sack made it 3rd and 23 for the Eagles. And then Danielle Hunter got another sack on the very next play, 3rd and 23, knocking the Eagles out of field goal range and keeping the Vikings in the game. Hunter S. Thompson died a span of 3 months and 23 days after Danielle Hunter's birthday. Thompson also died 148 days before his own birthday. In the alphabetic order, Danielle Hunter has matching 148 Gematria with the word indicted. Now, in Sumerian Gematria, both of these values are 888. Danielle was born during lunation 888. In Fibonacci, Fear and Loathing equals 888, and the book was published 98,888 days after the establishment of Yale University. So how does this all connect to 9/11? Well, the last name Thompson traces back to the word twin. In his article on the Pulitzer custody battle, this was about twin 5-year-old boys. Hunter S. Thompson died 3 years and 23 weeks after the 9/11 attacks. And think about the shape of the Twin Towers, like 2 large ones, or the number 11. Well, it just so happens that the Raiders' first Super Bowl championship was Super Bowl 11. They were led to that victory by legendary coach and broadcaster John Madden. And notice how John Madden died 3,230 weeks after the founding of the Raiders. Now, Super Bowl 11 is heavily synced to 9/11. It's actually kind of insane. This game was played earlier than any other Super Bowl in history, on the 9th day of the year. And it was played in the Rose Bowl on the date 109. Notice how Rose Bowl sums to 109 in ordinal. This is a lot like Yale's October 9th anniversary, written 10/9, which has the same 3 digits. In reduction gematria, both Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and Hunter Stockton Thompson sum to 109. Yale was also established in the year 1701, and the name Hunter sums to 171 with capital letters. This game was held in Pasadena, California, and check out how Pasadena and Pasadena, California has immense overlap with Skull and Bones, Secret Society, and John Madden's names. So, this Super Bowl 11, notice the colors used for this Super Bowl logo, very similar to the football team that represents Manhattan, the New York Giants. Super Bowl 11 was played on the 9th day of the year, and this game fell exactly 9,011 days before the 9/11 attacks in 2001. John Madden would go on to die 9 months and 11 days before Yale's anniversary, and his death also fell exactly 119 weeks before the second twin eclipse over the United States. September 11th is the 254th day of the year, and in these reverse gematria ciphers, both ordinal and standard, John Earl Madden equals 254, while John Madden equals 2540. During Madden's NFL playing career, he suited up wearing number 77. This Super Bowl was held in Pasadena, California, which equals 77, matching the gematria of World Trade Center, September 11th, Secret Society, and United States. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas was published on July 7th, the date written 7/7, and measuring from the date that the Raiders moved to Las Vegas to the death of John Madden was exactly a span of 707 days. Now remember, 9/11 got a big tribute in the first game of the season when Aaron Rodgers, wearing his new Jets helmet, went down with a torn Achilles on the 22nd anniversary of the attacks. As I pointed out in my last video, Aaron equals 22 and 202, this big skull and bones number. Aaron was born 20 years and 20 days after Vinny Testaverde, which equals 202, and both men tore their Achilles tendon in week 1 for the Jets. Zach Wilson, who replaced Aaron Rodgers, was born exactly 22 years after Tom Brady, who replaced Drew Bledsoe in the Patriots' first game after 9/11. And of course, 9/11 caused the Patriot Act to get signed here in the United States. The name Hunter Stockton Thompson, using the S exception of Gematria, a cipher identical to ordinal, but with S summing to 10, as this is reduced only once. The name Hunter Stockton Thompson summing to 116, which is an upside down 9/11. When Hunter S. Thompson shot himself, committing suicide, it was during Brown lunation number 1016. Daniil Hunter was 10 months and 16 days after his birthday for that Thursday night football game on the 14th. Hunter Thompson even died 1 month and 19 days before the next hybrid eclipse, and 1 year, 1 month, 9 days before the next total solar eclipse. The name Hunter also has gematria of the 119th prime number. Could this man be any more synced to these attacks? On the date of Super Bowl XI, John Madden was 14,885 days old, and then he also died at the age of 85 years and 8 months. 885 is the Latin gematria of skull and crossbones. This is another number I mentioned in my last video because Zach Wilson was 8,805 days old when he took over for Aaron Rodgers on 9/11. This was the same age that Tom Brady was when 9/11 occurred in 2001. And then again, he took over for Drew Bledsoe in the next game. Drew Bledsoe has matching gematria with both World Trade Center and Twin Towers. So this 885 snuck up on us again. On the date that Fear and Loathing was published, Hunter Biden was 885 days old. Biden was 10,335 days old when the film came out. And in that same cipher, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas equals 1335. The actor who portrayed Hunter S. Thompson in that movie, his first name is John. That's his first official birth name. Just like John Earl Madden, neither one named Jonathan. John is their full first name. There was a similar alignment with Johnny Depp for this book and film. Depp was exactly 9 years and 4 weeks old for the book, matching the value of Secret Society 940. And he was 1,823 weeks old for the movie's release. Those are the same 4 digits in the founding year of Skull and Bones, 1832. Johnny Depp was exactly 709 weeks old for Super Bowl XI. Now, this is interesting because that's the 127th prime number. 127 is the number that Johnny Depp shares with Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Measuring from Super Bowl XI to the death of Hunter S. Thompson was 10,270 days. This is another number very important to September 11th, where buildings 1, 2, and 7 were destroyed. 9/11 was also 11 weeks and 6 days after that summer solstice eclipse. And that eclipse belonged to Saros series 127. Just going to show how important the sun is to what we see playing out. Also, the last name Depp has the same gematria as Madden, 23 and 41, syncing up with Las Vegas, Skull and Bones, and Oakland. Johnny Depp was born 40 months and 10 days after the Raiders were established. It was also 130 days after their anniversary. 41 is the 13th prime number. Remember, Skull and Bones and Las Vegas, both sharing this 130 gematria. Johnny Depp was born exactly 27 years and 2 months after John Madden. 272 is the reverse value of both 223 and 322. When the book Fear and Loathing was published, Yale University was 270 years, 272 days old. Now, Fear and Loathing equals both 270 and 72. The book was published in the year 72, and Hunter S. Thompson equals both 72 and 72. On the date of the 9/11 attacks, the United States was 2,702 months and 7 days old. Henry Ruggs was 72 months and 27 days old when Hunter S. Thompson died, and the name Ruggs equals both 72 and 27 and 27. This all connects to the dialing code in Las Vegas, which is primarily 702. Now, worth noting that Henry Ruggs also wore number 11, pointing to this whole Twin Tower Super Bowl 11 connection. So there's a few more interesting alignments. Hunter Biden's age on 9/11, 3122. Hunter S. Thompson, born 310 months and 22 days before Johnny Depp. So numbers that contain the 322. But I want to talk about John Madden a little bit more, which will take us into the next part of this video. My last video touched briefly on this 104 number that's powerful to the NFL this season, as this is the 104th season of the NFL. A lot of us have seen this commercial during NFL programming where they make this joke talking about the script of the NFL season, right? Well, 104 is a very intriguing number to John Madden, who was born on the 10th of April. The date written 10/4. And if you measure from his death to his next birthday, you get a span of 104 days. In standard gematria, Madden sums to 104, just like Twin Towers in reverse. This year's Super Bowl in Las Vegas is super synced to John Madden. The game will be played 1 month and 30 days or 59 days before Madden's 88th birthday. And these numbers are found in Las Vegas and Skull and Bones, 130 and 59. But the number 88 is very significant to John Earl Madden, whose name sums to 888. And the name John Madden equals 88. So does Las Vegas Raiders with the S exception. In fact, John Madden football was first released in the year 88. And this is the 104th NFL season. Notice how 104th sums to 88 and 880. We also have this 124 value that's shared with John Earl Madden. So let's talk about this Super Bowl 58, all these powerful connections. The number 88 also connected to Fear and Loathing, 888. A Savage Journey to the Heart of the American Dream, 880. John Christopher Depp, 88. Owensboro, Kentucky, his hometown, 88. So when John Madden turns 88 years old, or would have turned that old. That's on a date with numerology of 58. And this is the huge number for the Super Bowl, which will, of course, be Super Bowl 58. Las Vegas, Nevada, when abbreviated, sums to 58. And the Raiders came there from Oakland, which also equals 58. This is a number significant to Freemasonry, which is another secret society, both 58. Now, in the year 2017, Las Vegas was the scene of the deadliest mass shooting in American history, when 58 people were reportedly killed. Now, of course, this death toll has since been increased. 2 victims dead in 2019 and 2020, and the perpetrator. So subtracting that, you get 58. That was the number reported for years after the attack. United States equals 58 in reduction. And after the shooting, there was a ton of controversy about the handling of the investigation by the Las Vegas Metro Police Department. The LVMPD was headed by Joe Lombardo at that time. But despite all that mishandling, Joe Lombardo was still elected the next governor of Nevada last year, taking office on January 2nd of this year. Super Bowl 58 falls exactly 58 weeks after Joe Lombardo became Nevada's governor. This was another significant number to 9/11. Think about how George W. Bush, who, by the way, was another graduate of the Skull and Bones Society, just like his father, George H.W. Bush. You can look that up on his Wikipedia page. George Bush, born in New Haven, the home of Skull and Bones. Well, not only does George W. Bush equal 58, but so does Twin Towers, 58. Now, what's important to understand about 9/11 is that this was a numerical recreation of Tisha B'Av. In Jewish culture, the 9th day of the 11th month is called Tisha B'Av, and this is a day of fasting to commemorate the destruction of the 2 temples. And in Gematria, Tisha B'Av sums to 9/11. On the Gregorian calendar, November 9th, the date we write 1109, sums to 1109 in that same method. But this all connects to 9/11, right? As we see. So, jumping screens a little bit. Tisha B'Av commemorates the destruction of Solomon's temple, which equals 58, and the Second Temple, which is also known as Herod's Temple, both of those summing to 58. They're now holding out hope for the Third Temple, which also equals 58. And again, the connection between twin towers, twin eclipses. Super Bowl 58 falls a span of 58 days before the second twin eclipse. In Gematria, Hunter Stockton Thompson, his full name, has Gematria of 271, which is the 58th prime number. And when Hunter Biden was indicted, it was 58 days after Thompson's birthday. Now, this number 58 reversed is 85. This is another important number to John Madden, who died at the age of 85 a couple years ago. In standard reduction, National Football League equals 85. And when Hunter S. Thompson killed himself in February of 2005, this was just 2 weeks after the end of the 85th NFL season. Again, Hunter S. Thompson wrote the poem "Football Season is Over" just before his death. This year's Super Bowl falls exactly 269 months after the 9/11 attacks. And in Latin Gematria, Raiders equals 269, the host of the Super Bowl. Raiders also equals, 269 is the 57th prime number. And Super Bowl 11 which was won by John Madden, that was the end of the 57th season of the NFL. When Madden won the Super Bowl, it was his 91st career victory as a head coach. And the game was played on the 9th of January, or 9/1. Notice how the Raiders were even founded on a date with 91 numerology. But what's more interesting about this is that the Super Bowl was Madden's 132nd game as a head coach. This is the ordinal value of the team's name. Oakland Raiders 132, Raiders 132, National Football League, the Brotherhood of Death, and John Christopher Depp, all 1320 in Gematria. Hunter S. Thompson and Johnny Depp, both from Kentucky, 132. Notice how United States of America also yields this 132 value. But we need to look at how Super Bowl 58 is also synced up with the death of John Madden, and these numbers align ridiculously well. The name John Christopher Depp II has matching 245 Gematria with Las Vegas Raiders, Las Vegas, Nevada, John Earl Madden, and Skull and Bones Society. John Madden died 2 years and 45 days before this coming Super Bowl. This is also 110 weeks and 5 days. Well, 1105 is the standard Gematria of Las Vegas, Nevada, and Skull and Crossbones. Raiders, Nevada, Masonic, Skull and Bones Society, and Oakland all also sum to 115. The word killing, by the way, notably has this double 115 Gematria. But that's not all. Madden's death also fell a span of 2 years, 6 weeks, and 3 days before the Super Bowl. Las Vegas, Nevada, with capital letters 263. Skull and Crossbones reverse 263. Masonic 263. And when Madden died, it was a span of 263 days after his birthday. I ask again, who is doing this scripting? It's amazing. In reduction, Las Vegas equals 23. The city captured their first professional sports championship when the Golden Knights won the 23 Stanley Cup. But look at the date of the Super Bowl, 2/11. Las Vegas equals 2/11. So does Las Vegas, Nevada, Secret Society, and Kentucky, both 2/11. This is the 47th prime number, and Nevada, 47, just like the Governor Joe Lombardo. Raiders, John Madden, and Pasadena, all also summing to 47. The name Madden and Oakland also with some Skull and Bones alignments, as we pointed out earlier. Next up, I want to look at the establishment a little bit more of the Las Vegas Raiders and how fascinating this numerology is. And again, just like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Raiders are one of these Skull and Bones teams in the NFL thanks to their logo. Now, Raiders has matching 74 Gematria with killing. This is also a number connected to Masonic. And Masonic also with this 223, which I probably don't mention enough. But this is definitely a huge part of it. But the Las Vegas Raiders, established on January 30th of 1960, I assure you there's nothing accidental about this date whatsoever. Just 5 days after the Raiders were founded, the United States of America turned 2,203 months old. And remember the Star-Spangled Banner with this 223 value. Skull and Crossbones 223. So now the Raiders play in Las Vegas, and Las Vegas equals 130, just like Skull and Bones in Ordinal. Well, the Las Vegas Raiders were established on the date 1/30, January 30th. This happened in the year 1960, the same year that the AFL began competing with the NFL. Well, the number 196 is 14 squared, and notice how skull and bones with the ampersand, also 140 in reverse. The city of Oakland has matching gematria with both skull and bones and secret society. Oakland is where the Raiders originally were when they were established. Oakland, California, the same 74 as Raiders. Skull and Bones Society, the same 74 value as Masonic. Another number that stands out here is 128. If you saw my Superstream 59, I talked a lot about this number in the death of Jimmy Buffett, which was heavily connected to Skull and Bones. But what I never noticed at that time is that the word brotherhood equals 128 in the alphabetic order. Skull and Bones, the Brotherhood of Death. The Skull and Bones Secret Society was 128 years old when the Skull and Bones team was founded. 9/11 fell 1,208 days after the release of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. The main character of that film, played by John Christopher Depp II, whose name sums to 128. In fact, in reverse, the name John Depp, also 128. When John Madden died, he was 1,028 months old, and his death fell 10 months and 28 days after the anniversary of the Raiders. Last week, Hunter Biden was indicted 1 month and 28 days after Hunter S. Thompson's birthday. And that really stands out because when Hunter S. Thompson died, Hunter Biden was exactly 12,800 days old. The Raiders' first Super Bowl victory came in Super Bowl 11, and we talked a lot about 11 earlier, but there's more I wanted to mention. Notice how John Madden was born on the 101st day of a leap year. His death in 2021 was exactly a span of 101 weeks after the Raiders announced their move to Las Vegas. 101 is the reverse reduction value of both 223 and 322, 101. This is very similar to skull and crossbones, which also sums to 110 in that same cipher. Las Vegas Raiders, also 101. Skull and Bones Society, 101. Hunter S. Thompson and Johnny Depp, both from Kentucky, which equals 110. And the Raiders were founded on a date with numerology of 110. 1 plus 30 plus 19 plus 60. So earlier on in this video, we talked about these Super Bowls that were by the Skull and Bones code, as Tampa Bay had played in the 2020 Super Bowl, and then they also played in the 2002 Super Bowl against the Raiders. Well, after the Raiders won Super Bowl 11, they won 2 other Super Bowls. One of them capped the 61st season of the NFL, like Skull and Crossbones 61. And then 3 years later, they won the championship after the 64th season. Skull and Bones equals 604, which is the product of 32 times 2. So very significant numbers connected to the Raiders' championships. And then the Raiders never played in another Super Bowl until Super Bowl 37 against the Skull and Bones team. Notice how 37 in Roman numerals sums to 322. The number 66 is also relevant to Skull and Bones, which has matching gematria with the number 66. And if you multiply 3 times 22, you get a product of 66. Hunter S. Thompson was born 66 weeks after John Madden. Kentucky, Fear and Loathing, Biden, drugs, all with 66 gematria here. 66 in standard gematria has the same 4 digits found in Skull and Bones' founding year, 1832. And when the Raiders were founded, it was 8,231 days after the birth of Hunter S. Thompson. Next up, we're going to do a little bit of a deeper dive into the numerology of Fear and Loathing. Again, the movie was released exactly 1,350 weeks after the book. Fear and Loathing 135, Hunter S. Thompson 1350. And another relevant 135 would have to be Aaron Rodgers, right? Who got hurt on 9/11, just days before this indictment. Aaron Rodgers, his whole thing was connected to Bray Wyatt. I have a video on that. Bray Wyatt dying a few weeks ago, also 135. When the movie Fear and Loathing came out, Hunter S. Thompson was exactly 60 years and 44 weeks old, and in standard gematria, Las Vegas equals 644. Hunter S. Thompson was born on the 18th of July, or 18/7. Skull and Bones is known as the Brotherhood of Death, as highlighted even on their Wikipedia page. The Brotherhood of Death sums to 187, just like the word death in reverse standard, 1807. 187, often recognized as the homicide code. And Hunter S. Thompson's first popular work was about the Kentucky Derby, which sums to 187. Then his most famous work was Fear and Loathing, which equals 187. All connected to the total eclipse code, 187. The Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas book was published 149 months after the founding of the Raiders. And again, Skull and Bones 149. Including the end date, Hunter S. Thompson died 149 days before his birthday, all pointing back to the 14th of September when Hunter Biden was indicted. But next up, I want to talk about this major significance of 225. Now, we looked at the Sumerian gematria of Hunter S. Thompson, which was 1350 in Sumerian, right? 1,350 weeks exactly between the movie and the book. Now, once again, this is the alphabetic order times 6. So anything with ordinal gematria of 225 will sum to 225 in ordinal. 225. And this number is so important to Hunter S. Thompson, it's ridiculous. Pointing back to this Skull and Bones Super Bowl, right? The Gruden Bowl, which was played to end the 2002 NFL season. Measuring from the date of that game to the death of Hunter S. Thompson was 2 years and 25 days, matching his ordinal gematria. His first book or article, The Kentucky Derby is Decadent and Depraved, notice how that had Sumerian gematria of 2250. And when Hunter S. Thompson died, it was on 2/20 of 05. 225. Notice how the Brotherhood of Death and Skull and Bones both 22, while Yale University equals 205. The 9/11 attacks occurred when the United States was 225 years old. Now, the Super Bowl in Las Vegas occurs exactly 22 years and 5 months after those 9/11 attacks. Both Yale University and Yale University Skull and Bones has 225 Gematria in reverse. Johnny Depp's birthplace, Owensboro, Kentucky, sums to 2225. And these are the same digits found in the death date, 2/20/25. 2225. Hunter S. Thompson died 225 days before the next annular eclipse. Now, that stands out because that annular eclipse later that year belonged to Saros series 134. Now, the Saros, for those who don't watch every one of my videos, is a period of 223 lunations that separate eclipses from the same Saros cycle. So this is a very powerful moon number as well. So 134, why is that so significant? In Latin Gematria, Hunter Stockton Thompson equals 1304. And when he died, Johnny Depp, who portrayed him in the film, was 13,040 days old. 134, also the ordinal Gematria of solar eclipse. Ooh, I almost got chills because I just read in the chat that it was 2:25 Eastern time when I was talking about these 225 syncs. It just goes to show you guys that there's more to numerology than meets the eye. How can all of this be coordinated by man? I have no idea. In fact, I should probably do a video because I myself have immense synchronicity with Hunter S. Thompson and Fear and Loathing. I used to have a friend named Hunter who I met in 2007, and his DJ name was 911 in Latin. I'm not going to go into this now. I'll have to make a post on it and talk about it later, but again, this stuff transcends conspiracy, which is why I love it so much. A lot of this other stuff we talked about, but another thing worth mentioning is that Johnny Depp's full name has matching 1338 Gematria with skull and crossbones, and so does his birthplace. These are the same 4 digits found in John Madden's age when he died, 31308. Depp also born on the 160th day of the year, syncing up with Las Vegas Raiders. If you measure from the 9/11 attacks backwards to the World Trade Center bombing that occurred in 1993, resulting in the deaths of several people, 9/11 fell 3,119 days after that bombing. 3119 is the 444th prime number. And Super Bowl 11, which was played 9,011 days before 9/11, on the 9th day of the year, notice how the Nielsen ratings was 44.4. And this just goes to show you how these ratings are probably manipulated. 444 is the ordinal value of Skull and Bones 322. With capital letters, Skull and Crossbones equals 444. Both Raiders and Masonic 444 in Sumerian. There's also a very intriguing pi riddle that we see with Hunter S. Thompson, who died on February 20th, which is the date that leaves 314 days on the calendar. And remember, 3.14 is the first 3 digits of pi. Using Fibonacci numbers, the name Hunter equals 314. And Johnny Depp, who played Hunter, was born exactly 3,140 months after Yale University was established. Pi resolves the mathematics of circles. Now, both pi and circles have gematria of 69. This connects to Johnny Depp's birthday, June 9th, or 69. John Madden had primary birth numerology of 69. And Fear and Loathing is all about drugs. In the alphabetic order, drugs equals 69. The 69th prime number is 347. Notice how both the Brotherhood of Death and Skull and Bones Society sums to 347. The Fear and Loathing movie was released 347 days after Johnny Depp's birthday. And if you measure from Johnny Depp's birth to Hunter Biden's birth, you get 347 weeks. There's also this strange alignment with triple threes that I feel like is a little random, but I had to note them. Super Bowl XI was played exactly 3,303 months after Yale was established. Hunter Biden was born 33 years and 300 days after John Madden. 9/11 fell 3 years, 3 months, and 3 weeks exactly after Fear and Loathing, the film, came out. And when John Madden died, it was 333 days after the Raiders' anniversary. So I don't know exactly what all of this means, but it seems like it's a little bit more than a coincidence, doesn't it? I wanted to talk a little bit more about Danielle Hunter, who again had 3 sacks the same day in the only NFL game that was played on the same day Hunter Biden was indicted. We covered most of this, but I want to look at this as well. Hunter S. Thompson's full name sums to the 58th prime number. And when Danielle Hunter was born, Hunter S. Thompson was 58 years old. Now, the name Danielle sums to 104 in Latin, and he was born a span of 104 days after Hunter S. Thompson's birthday. And once again, here we sit in the 104th NFL season, which is very clearly connected to John Madden and the name Madden. 104, dead 104 days before his 10-4 birthday. The name Danielle also has matching extended values with Hunter Stockton Thompson through this 134. Also, in Sumerian, the name Danielle sums to 372, just like Fear and Loathing in Latin. Now, in Ordinal, Danielle sums to 62, and this syncs up with his life lesson number. He had birth numerology of 62 as well, and the game where he got 3 sacks, that was all connected to Hunter Biden, this game finished with 62 points on the scoreboard. And of course, this 34 points from the Eagles, using the standard alphabetic order, the name Biden sums to 34. Biden also 101, which was part of that Skull and Bones. Remember, Skull and Crossbones, 110. 223, 101. There's a couple more things from this post I want to mention before I sign off here today. The book title for Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. This has one of my favorite artistic gematria facts of all time. So if you look at the alphabetic order, we find that Las Vegas has matching 86 gematria with Hunter, which is pretty cool. The book was published on 7/7 of 72. And notice how that had numerology of 86. This year's Super Bowl falls 19 years after the death of Hunter S. Thompson. And in the ordinal cipher, 19 equals 86. 86 is 19 plus the 19th prime number. Now, there happens to be 19 years in the moon's metonic cycle. The metonic cycle, a period of just about exactly 19 years. And this brings us back to Super Bowl XI. which was played on the date 1/9. But what makes this so freaking interesting is that when you look at 1/9 of 77, notice how this occurred during Brown lunation number 668. The phrase metonic cycle equals 668. So there's so much more to this that I couldn't even possibly pack into this video, but is still intriguing nonetheless. So let's go back to this 86. When Hunter Biden was indicted, Hunter S. Thompson would be 86 years old, and he would still be 86 years old for the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. Well, check this out. The 86th prime number is 443. And I love this because the sun equals 443, and the metonic cycle connects the moon to the sun. Well, the official name of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, a savage journey to the heart of the American dream. In the standard alphabetic order, this sums to 443. But when you add Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, you get this Gematria in Latin, 443. That is so cool. I mean, how can you not appreciate these numbers that they stamp in here? Another fun thing is that the numbers 223 and 322 both have reduction gematria of 106. And I talked about this number a lot in my Aaron Rodgers video. Johnny Depp's full name has matching 106 reverse gematria with Oakland, California. And he's from Kentucky, just like Hunter S. Thompson, both 106. Hunter Biden was born a span of 10 years and 6 days after the Raiders were founded. This is also 522 weeks. 522 was the release date of the movie Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. 522. In Gematria, Fear and Loathing equals 522. And the book was published 1,522 weeks before the attacks of September 11th. All right, folks. I think about that covers it for this video. I just want to scan through my posts from the last few days and make sure I didn't miss anything super significant. Pretty sure we got it all down. But once again, this story about Hunter Biden all occurring on September 14th, 2023, which is a date I had been blogging about for several weeks before this incident, talking about how it's all connected to the presidency and Donald Trump. Could the indictment of Hunter Biden, after a series of indictments on Donald Trump, launch Trump into the front running for the 2024 presidential race? That is what it looks like. And recent polls seem to be confirming this. Donald Trump's top two Republican challengers, Vivek Ramaswamy and Ron DeSantis, both graduates of Yale University. So all of this is just heavily, heavily scripted. And it's a script that you too can see ahead of time if you pay attention to the numbers. Now, as I said in my video on Aaron Rodgers, I didn't know what it was going to be that was going to happen, but I knew it was going to be a big news story connected to the presidency and the Skull and Bones Code. And this is kind of what I do on this channel. You know, during Superstream 58, I talked about a huge synchronicity with Skull and Bones, the WWE, and Warren Buffett. And on the same day I made this video, we got the death of Jimmy Buffett. So it's just one major news story that seems to lead into the next. And no question, this whole Aaron Rodgers injury, this game ended with a 22-16 score. And 22-16 was a number that I had been talking about. I actually led this post off with 22-16. So when you see the work that I'm doing, when you understand what I'm talking about, it's very easy to see why my work is censored on platforms like YouTube and even X and Twitter. For whatever reason, they don't want people knowing about these wild numerical alignments that are occurring because, in my opinion, it truly makes you question the reality that we're living in. And once you see the extent to which these synchronicities occur, not just in the mainstream media, not just with people dying or getting murdered by the numbers, but also in our own personal lives, it really makes you question some of the rules and regulations that the rich and powerful wish to enact on the lower classes. Because we all have this link to the spiritual realm within us. And nobody can tell me or anyone else that we have any fewer rights or authority than those who claim power over the rest of us. Thanks again for watching this video, guys. It's been a pleasure once again. If you'd like to support the work, please feel free to check the links down in the description below, as joining the website not only helps support me and continue this work, but also gives you additional tools on the website for more decoding power. But once again, that'll do it for this one. My name is Derek. Peace, love, God bless, and we'll talk to you next time. See ya.